Good morning everybody and welcome back to another video. So we're here today finally sharing my 2021 miscarriage, the miscarriage I had a year and a half ago. I hope that if you're going through anything similar, you can find comfort in knowing that somebody else has gone through the same thing. Yeah, I think this is more just to be used as like a resource in case you're going through similar things or this almost basically the same thing as I did. So for a little bit of context, I took some notes down on my computer to talk to you about what was going on before the first clip that I took explaining what was going on, because there's definitely missing information. So basically, April 19th, 2021, I found out I was pregnant. It was day 32 of my cycle. I kind of already knew that I was pregnant. What happened was that I was tracking with the fertility awareness method. And I just want to start out first and foremost by saying that that method never failed me. And so I don't want you to think that it did because of this video. Basically what happened is day 14, although I usually ovulate day 17, but day 14, which is in the fertile window, the condom broke and I took the morning after pill and it didn't work. That's the long story short. The long story long is that I was debating whether or not I should take the morning after pill for like an hour after that little mishap happened. And I wasn't sure because I kind of always wanted to have a kid and I knew Jeremy and I were going to be like having kids together at some point. Anyways, so we took it. I took it. We decided that I would take it. And we decided that we would just leave it up to fate. But I kind of had this feeling throughout the whole time, like the full 2 weeks until I tested positive, that I was pregnant. And I think that's more of like an intuition thing. There was some feelings a little bit like near the uterus, but nothing like concrete. Day 32, I found out I was pregnant. I was kind of like, oh my lord, and I was also kind of like, oh my gosh, so exciting. You may or may not know this about me, but I'm really organized and I'm really like on the ball with these things. So within the first few days, I already signed up for the birth center that I wanted to give birth at. I had signed up for daycares. I did like a bunch of things really quick. I checked like mat leave and how my pay was gonna work, like what my finances were gonna look like. I looked at everything within like a couple of days. Then day 35 came, so literally 32, 33, 34, and by the end of day 35, so within 4 days, I was at work and I started to get like these cramps in my stomach that weren't too bad. And then I went to the bathroom and I was spotting. So I had some blood, obviously, and it started off brownish in color. And then by the time I got home from work, it was bright red. So what I did, obviously, first I sent pictures to my mom and I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? She was worried. Then I called Jeremy and I told him what happened, and we decided to go to the emergency room because the thing I was afraid of was an ectopic pregnancy. This was all during COVID, by the way. So Jeremy wasn't allowed in the hospital with me. Only I was allowed to go in. There was nobody in the emergency room. Thank God for that. And then I basically went into triage. They asked me if I wanted Tylenol for the cramps that I was feeling, which at this point were a little bit more intense. I was like, no, it's okay. If I can't handle this, I can't handle giving birth. And then they actually made a comment to me saying, this is 2021. Why do you think women have to give birth in pain? We have medication for that. And I was like, I want to give birth naturally. And anyways, that comment just kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. So basically they gave me an emergency appointment for the next day at the maternity clinic that was like part of their hospital. And this clip that I'm about to show you was taken right before I went to that appointment, so the next morning. It is the next day, and last night while I was at work, I started having more intense cramping and I was bleeding more than just spotting, and so I was getting a little bit nervous. So after work, around 9 p.m., Jeremy and I decided to go to the emergency at the hospital and tell them what was happening and just see what it was because we were obviously nervous. Yeah, so we got there and they gave us an emergency appointment for the next morning at 8 a.m. to see what was going on, obviously. So I went this morning and I got I got 2 tubes of blood taken from my arm, on the side of my arm that really hurts. And that was basically to check my hormone levels. I think it's I don't even know what it's called, but the hormone that tells you if you're pregnant or not, and to also tell me my blood type. And then I am going to get an ultrasound in about 2 hours to see what's happening inside my tummy. Keep in mind, I'm only 5 weeks and 1 day, so it's really hard to tell this soon. What I'm nervous about, like I'm nervous it might be an ectopic pregnancy because I'm having pain mostly on my left side and it's pretty intense. If not, it might be a miscarriage, which I would also be really sad about. So it's been a very emotional couple of days. And after the ultrasound, I have another doctor's appointment where we're gonna be checking, I guess, what's happening. I don't know, seeing if I'm actually pregnant. To confirm the pregnancy, even though I've already taken 2 pregnancy tests that said it's positive, but to confirm it, ask questions. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what we're gonna be talking about in that appointment. I guess I'll have to let you guys know, or let me know if I just keep this for myself. And then in 2 more days, I'm gonna get more blood tests to see what the hormone levels are again, because if they're going up, it means the pregnancy is evolving normally. If they start to drop, that signifies that I'm miscarrying. So yeah, that's my journey so far. So later that day, I went for the ultrasound. I think it was around 1 p.m. For some reason, I remember that. And so I went to the hospital for that. It was the worst experience I ever had in my life. I'm exaggerating. Obviously, it wasn't the worst there. Like, significant things have happened since then that were way worse. It was a pretty bad experience. So I went in. They were super rude to me. They didn't even ask me, like, how are you? Yet they were really aware that I was having a miscarriage, or like most likely having a miscarriage. And yeah, there was no like, how are you? How are you feeling? Someone was just like, lie down. And I lied down. And then they left the room. And then they were like, they came in, they checked the computer screen, and they were like, how many weeks pregnant are you? And I was like, I told them I was 5 or 5.5. And then they just started getting really upset, and they were like, why would they even send you here? We can't see anything on the screen. And I was just like, whoa, you know? And at this point, my cramps were really, really bad. So walking was hurting me, and I was crying at this point because of the pain of the cramps. Yeah, so I was just like, whoa, like really like taken aback by this person's just like pure frustration at me. Anyways, and then she kind of took the little machine and like pushed it super hard on my belly, like super abruptly, like no warning. And then she started pushing like really hard on my stomach, which is normal for an ultrasound, but like no warning. And my stomach was hurting so badly at this point. So the pain of the pressure on it was just terrible. And then so she did one swipe across my stomach. She's like, I can't say anything. Like I said, that you can't say anything at this point. And then she's like, you can go. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I was just like really discouraged at this point. Then I went back for my appointment with the doctor at the maternity clinic, and she basically like asked me questions about like, well, how the ultrasound went and stuff. And I said like, the person said that she couldn't see anything. And then it was just a series of questions. Like at this point, I wasn't sure if I was miscarrying or not, right? Because I had to wait for the next blood tests. So what I wanted to ask her was different like pregnancy questions about how I should be, or things I should or shouldn't do if I am pregnant. There was zero time for that. Like, she rushed me out of that office so freaking quickly. The only thing that she wanted to talk about was, if this is an unplanned pregnancy, why aren't you on birth control? And get on birth control right now. And then when I was telling her, like, I don't want to be on birth control, and I chart my cycle, that's how I prevent pregnancy, and this is just a fluke where, like, the condom broke, and also the Plan B pill didn't work, she was just, like, very upset with me and just really wanted me to go on birth control, and she was just trying to convince me to get the IUD, and, like, just really not respecting my choice at all. So I really just had a bad experience. Then by the time the night came, I was a wreck. Like, even just sitting with Jeremy, I remember we were watching a movie or something, just trying to relax, trying to take my mind off of it and stuff, but the pain I was feeling was so terrible. It was like shooting down my left leg, like intensely all the way into my knee. So it was in my uterus, all the way down my leg. It was even in my butt. Like, I was feeling the pain everywhere, which I would later realize is the contractions, which I think not every woman gets the same severity, especially at 6 weeks, but for some reason mine were really intense. I was just crying a lot, and that was a really rough night. I was in so much pain. The next day we had to actually drive to the Ontario border because we had a trip planned, and I had to see if I was allowed to cross the border because the borders were shut down even in our own country. So I just remember we were driving, and every single bump that like even tiny bump, because Quebec has a lot of potholes and bumps, and every little bump, it would like hurt my stomach, you know, like, and I would get the shocking pains going down my legs again. And so yeah, that's kind of where we were at. So the 23rd was the day that I did all the doctor's appointments, and then I was crying at night. The 24th was the day I went to the border. And then, so I guess it was the 25th where I went back to get more blood tests done. I'm going to say the 25th. I'll write on the next clip whether if it was a different day or not. But I'm pretty sure it was April 25th that I went and I got my final blood test done. Or maybe it was the 26th. My last blood test done to see if the hormone levels were dropping, and if so, that would mean that I would get my period. I had more blood tests this morning, and I almost passed out in the middle of them. And like, they had to put me in like a reclining chair so that I would like regain my blood pressure or something, I don't know. And drink orange juice and all that stuff, and I'm just like overwhelmed and really hard week. So I did that, and then I ended up getting the results. I look so tired, but my appointment is in 7 minutes with the doctor to know what is going on, if I am still pregnant or if I did indeed miscarry. I am extremely tired, and I look tired, and I had a blood test this morning. I had to have like ice bags on my head and on my neck so I wouldn't pass out. It was really intense. I think it's just like being overall just really overwhelmed and exhausted from everything this last week, going like in a matter of 5 days, going from finding out that I was pregnant to like signing up for all my doctor's appointments and all that stuff, to then being in intense pain and feeling like and bleeding and thinking that I might be having an ectopic pregnancy or I'm miscarrying or just that there's something wrong, and then finding out that I might be actually miscarrying, doing all my blood tests and all that stuff to find out what is happening. It's just been like exhausting and overwhelming. I haven't done anything all weekend, the last 2 days, besides basically sleep. Like I've been sleeping about 15 hours a day, and yeah, just sleeping and resting, because it's just been overwhelming, exhausting, and kind of painful. So I will touch base after my appointment. And in the end, the results were that I was miscarrying, and I was going to miscarry in the upcoming days, and I did. Basically, I think it was on day 40 that I started bleeding, and I officially miscarried the baby. And yeah, that was basically my experience. Let's just make sure I don't have anything else to share. Basically, my experience, I was crying a lot. It was painful. I don't know why I miscarried. I know that apparently like 50 to 80% of miscarriages are because the chromosomes like don't line up. I also, over time, think that I realized that I might have some kind of progesterone deficiency or an estrogen dominance scenario, something that I still really want to get tested on. Unfortunately, my doctor told me that I have to have several miscarriages before they ever check my hormones. So that is really sad. I think that overall, like how I was treated at the hospitals and everything was really unfortunate. I think I kind of really ruined my whole hospital experience, and kind of really took a hospital birth right off the table for the future. And then yeah, in order just to like help the grieving process, because obviously like I was a mess, like I took off work and everything, but just to help with the grieving process, Jeremy and I did like a little ceremony where we made like a paper with pictures and stuff of that week, and also like the name of the baby that we had planned. And we also wrote like what kind of, because I had made a baby playlist of like the music I was listening to at that time, so I like put some songs on it, and we like lit a candle, and then we each wrote a letter and we read it out loud and like put it all into a little mason jar, wrapped it up, and then we blew out the candle to kind of finalize the ceremony and kind of like put it to rest. My mom also got me flowers as a little like my deepest sympathies kind of gift, which was really nice. And I appreciate things like that. So if you know someone who's going through miscarriage, that could really be a nice way of showing that like you're thinking of them. And then I think Jeremy and I went on a hike a couple days later that really helped me clear my mind, like as I was miscarrying, just to reconnect with nature, feel at one with it. I kind of found peace doing that. And so that was my first miscarriage experience. And then as of that point, that was in April, by December, I started realizing that maybe there's problems with my cycle. That's where I wasn't sure now. do I have too much estrogen? And then I started to try to fix that. So I think I'm gonna make another video about my thoughts on me having estrogen dominance or progesterone deficiency, all the things I've tried to kind of fix that. Also, why we started to try to have a baby again, like why we're trying to conceive right now. And then also I would love to do updates on how this goes. Right now, like I said, I'm kind of on bed rest. Not really bed rest, like they didn't say bed rest, but they said not to walk much. Even 30 minutes they said is too much. So I'm just trying to stay in bed as much as possible while my symptoms pass. I have very similar ones. Basically, I had cramps that were pretty intense from a couple of days after I found out I was pregnant all the way until now. But now, like ever since I've been in the bed, they, like while I'm sitting down, I don't have any. It's only when I get up. So yeah, basically cramps, and then I started spotting, although it's not going bright red. It went bright red yesterday, but then it stopped. And now it's back to being brown. So everything might be fine. I think it's fine. I feel a lot different. The cramps don't hurt like they did then. Although when I talk about it, I'm like, oh, now I notice it more. But that's in my head, I'm sure. So that's kind of like what I'm going through right now. If everything goes well, I really want to update you guys about the pregnancy as I go for many different reasons, which I'll explain probably in that video. And yeah, that's just my first miscarriage experience. And I wanted to share it because I think that it's crazy, because when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't tell anybody. Like I told my mom and my dad, that was it. And because of that, because everyone said wait till, not everyone, but that's just like the typical thing is usually you wait until you're 3 months before telling anybody that you're pregnant. But because of that, I had no one to lean on besides my parents during the miscarriage. And then I had to suddenly text my work and be like, I'm miscarrying. And they were like, wait, you're pregnant? You know, so I kind of don't agree with that thing anymore of waiting the 3 months, especially to tell people that you're really close to. And where I'm at right now, I don't even care telling like everybody and telling the whole world. I find the 3-month rule kind of weird. Like, I don't know. I guess I'd have to see how this goes and then see if I would still want to share it even if I did miscarry after. So yeah, that's basically my reasoning, I guess, behind sharing this, because I just think it's not talked about enough, and like you feel really alone when you're going through that, and also you don't know if your symptoms are common or not, you know, like. So anyways, I just think that maybe it'd be nice if more people opened up about it. And here's Thanos, because she hears me talking and she knows I'm here for cuddles if she wants. My little baby girl. Hi baby. She has such a raspy meow. Anyways, I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching as per usual. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.
If you go all the way down this river, you go to Quebec.
You keep going, you'll